Hey, how's it going? This is rzohn, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Hisense L9G 4K TriChroma Ultra Short Throw Laser TV. The main question I want to answer is whether this can be used as a traditional TV. The L9G is rated at 3000 lumens with an RGB laser engine capable of 107% of the BT 2020 color space, so more than what's needed for HDR. Later on in this video, I want to talk about some of the settings that made my viewing experience much more enjoyable. Let's go. When you're comparing the Hisense L9G to other 4K ultra short throw laser TVs out there, and there are more and more each day, the one thing you should consider is that the L9G comes with a screen. Now this could be a pro or a con depending on whether you already have a screen designed for ultra short throw projectors. But it's something to note when comparing prices. You actually have an option of a daylight optimized screen or a cinema optimized screen. Both are ALR screens, which means ambient light rejection. And they're designed to reflect light from the projector to the viewing position while rejecting unwanted light from windows or ceiling lights. Now the daylight screen is interesting in that it requires no assembly and is actually a hard screen. If you choose this option, prepare for a giant box to arrive. If you've ever seen a Fresnel lens, this looks similar, but instead of being used for magnification, its purpose is to direct light towards the viewer while blocking light coming in from the sides. You get a brighter picture with this daylight screen while sacrificing some viewing angles from the sides. There's also an option for a cinema screen, which is made for darker light controlled rooms. For my testing, I have a motorized screen that uses a similar lenticular light rejection method to the cinema screen Hisense provides, and since I wanted to try this in my living room, I do not have extra side walls to hang a 100-inch screen, so I use the one I had instead. Another thing you should consider is whether you want a 100-inch version or the 120-inch version. The focus calibration on these are fixed, and the 100-inch model is meant to be used with a 100-inch screen. If you decide later that you prefer the 120, it's not as simple as just getting a larger screen and pulling the projector further back. Now that sounds like a major con, but what you get in return is some of the best corner-to-corner sharpness that I've seen in an ultra short throw projector. Now my advice to someone seriously considering this projector is just get the larger one if you can fit it, since as of right now the 120-inch is only $500 more. Regarding the picture quality out of the box, I was a bit confused because the reds had almost a neon glow to them. On YouTube videos, the bar was like super red. I expected more color volume from a tri-laser compared to some single laser USTs, but this was a bit distracting. I went into the settings and changed the color space from auto instead of native, which it was set to by default. Now this ships with Google TV, and it seemed to be using an HDR color space for SDR content. Now changing that one setting made a huge difference. A few other changes I made was to turn off motion enhancement, which causes that soap opera effect that I don't like for most content. I'll leave the settings I used in the description. I found that these settings were good for daytime viewing in a bright room, but the most accurate settings out of the box was theater night mode with white balance set to low. This was my choice for nighttime viewing with the lights off. Now speaking of which, black levels are similar to other USTs I've reviewed, which is to say not great, but that's a trade-off for having 3000 lumens. I would say that the color accuracy out of the box is good, but I've seen better from other projectors. Perhaps I'll do a side-by-side comparison in a future video. Let me know if you're interested in that in the comments below. To answer my main question at the beginning of the video, that 3000 lumens combined with the ALR screen make this very usable as a TV in my opinion. What you give up in great black levels of an OLED or max peak brightness of an LED TV, you get back in sheer size. Watching a movie on this is much more satisfying to me than watching on my 55-inch OLED in my bedroom, but that's just me. There are a few features that set this Hisense L9G apart from some of the other projectors I've reviewed. The first thing is that processor speed I talked about. Anyone with a projector knows that switching sources or from SDR to HDR isn't nearly as instantaneous like it is with a TV. Somehow this one is very close to as fast. Using the menu is snappy, changing to HDR is quick, the Android UI is quick, and even waking up from standby takes as much time as a TV. I think every manufacturer needs to seriously consider including a standby feature, since most projectors take 30 seconds to a minute to turn on and off. This one wakes up in seconds. The other feature that I think is interesting is that it has a TV tuner built in. This also has 3 total HDMI ports with support for 4K 120p content and HDMI eARC. Now the chip itself is limited to 60p, so don't expect 120p gaming here. The HDMI inputs can be renamed, which I think is a nice touch. The sound quality on this seemed better than the BenQ V7050i I reviewed. It says Dolby Atmos, which I would say is a stretch. It sounds similar to some of those soundbars without a sub, but I would not say the experience is as immersive as I would want it to be. It does sound better than a lot of the speakers built into TVs though, but if you're going to treat yourself to the 100-inch plus viewing experience, spend a little extra and splurge on an audio experience that matches. Okay, so this is with the NAD T778 AVR with some ELAC Unify reference, floor standing speakers, and a SVS 3000 micro subwoofer, so a 2.1 channel system. So these are from the built-in speakers on the Hisense L9G. Now this is WiSA enabled, which means if you have WiSA speakers, you can easily connect to this wirelessly. Something to keep in mind is that USTs are sometimes placed where you'd normally place a center channel, so maybe something like the Sony HTA9 might be a good solution if you want to keep it all wireless. Review on that coming soon. The projector itself is relatively quiet and not something I notice from a distance of 9 feet away. Sometimes I can hear it whir up for a brief second, but it's not a continuous whine like some others. With the volume turned up on my system, I never hear it. This is how the fan sounds from about 2 feet away. And this is from about 6 feet away. Personally, I think the unit itself looks nice. The height adjustment has dual locks, which help prevent them from accidentally being adjusted. You do have a 20-point white balance if you want to get this professionally calibrated. Overall, I think this is a solid option from a company that truly understands what it takes to make a laser TV a viable option for most people willing to spend this money. Now, there are other companies making projectors using the same tri-laser hardware, but the implementation may not be quite as good as on this Hisense. As far as HDR, I have seen some better HDR tone mapping on similarly priced UST projectors. I did try this with a Panasonic UB820, which has that HDR optimizer. It helps a lot in bright scenes to bring those highlights down where they're not clipping, and also for darker scenes to bring up some of that shadow detail. I want to reiterate that the processor that they use is very fast and well suited for this task. The colors look good with minor adjustments, and the fact that they include the screen in the price is something to take into consideration as well. If you're interested in that hard daylight screen, Hisense is the only one I've seen so far with that. The out-of-box calibration could use a bit of an improvement, and when calibrated, I think this is going to be about similar in brightness to some of the single laser projectors rated around 2500 lumens. I was expecting HDR content to be the place where the tri-laser would shine, and while the color volume increase is noticeable, especially with reds, I prefer accuracy over the expanded color volume myself. Now with calibration, you might be able to get the best of both worlds, but that's an extra cost. The motion interpolation on other projectors I've tested hasn't been as effective as on this one, which I don't use for most content, but I do like it for sports and most broadcast television. That's where that tuner comes in handy. Just add a simple antenna, boom, you have network television. I'm not a gamer, so I can't speak on that, but other reviews have suggested that it's pretty decent when it comes to latency. Now, one small nitpick I have is that the sensor on this to dim the lasers is extremely sensitive. You can be like 3 feet away and it'll still dim, give you that warning. I get it, but I wish there was a way to reduce the sensitivity. I can easily recommend this projector, or laser TV as Hisense calls it. If you're interested in purchasing this, please consider buying it from our friends at Value Electronics. I wouldn't recommend them if I didn't believe in them, but I know Robert there will take good care of you. So let him know I sent you. I think there's currently $1,000 off right now, and Hisense is still offering their 100-day no regrets guarantee. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. That's it. Take care. Bye-bye.